Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is your host Carmina, and we are again in the company of my friend and colleague, astrology mate or cards mate, Neeshee Pandit. Welcome back, Neeshee.
It's great to be back, Carmina. Thanks for having me.
Yes, so it's great to have you as well. And Nishi and I keep doing these videos to let you guys know that we have this amazing class. I'm super excited about it. I know that this is such an original approach that we are doing, and it's like you won't find such a class anywhere else. That we thought that we were gonna do it. We didn't know when we had the idea exactly like what's gonna happen and how we're gonna do it, but over the summer we talked about it, and I think we kind of reached an understanding. Right, Nishi?
Yeah, I think it was very organic when Carmina approached me about doing a class like this. I had, of course, already been thinking, there should be a way to see all of the connotations of medical astrology with the cards of truth, and I'm more and more, I guess you could say, favoring the cards of truth system in my approach these days. And I wanted to work that out. And so I was already thinking about those things, and you were thinking about those things, and we just kind of came together and said, well, how would it work? And tested different things, and our ideas ripened over the summer, it seemed, which is appropriate enough.
It's true because in all the card classes that I taught, I was always incorporating some medical elements, but the original part is now Nishi is bringing a connection to Chinese and Tibetan medicine that I was not aware of before. And when he presented it to me, I was very enthusiastic about it. You want to talk a little bit about this
Sure.
fusion?
Sure. Typically I focus on medical astrology in terms of Ayurveda simply because Vedic astrology and Ayurveda are completely linked, so it's the obvious paradigm. But looking at the cards of truth, what struck me is that it's a very much a naturalistic paradigm. It's a description of nature, the four suits, the four seasons, the cycles of nature, the ace through the nine, the jack, the queen, and the king, the beginning, the sustaining, the ending. It's just describing how nature works. And you can tell that this whole framework of the cards is just basically describing what's happening in nature. 52 cards, 52 weeks in the year, the solar value, the solar day, on and on. So I said, well, this is interesting because the more that I was looking into Oriental medicine and Tibetan medicine, which integrates Ayurveda and the Oriental medicine, these kinds of frameworks, these dynamic, more naturalistically oriented frameworks seem more compatible with the paradigm of the cards of truth. So why don't we look at it that way? Because when you study Oriental medicine or Tibetan medicine, you see that a lot of the medicine is exactly the same. It's describing nature. And through understanding nature, it's telling us how to live, how to heal. So I started looking at the cards in that way, and I said, okay, how can we connect all of this? And so I'm connecting the seasons, the suits with the organs, the solid and hollow organs, with the 5 phases of the cycle. Some people call that the 5 elements, but I think that's confusing because they're phases. So, wood, fire, earth, water, and metal. And I'm also going to be presenting all of the Ayurvedic paradigms as well. So 3 doshas, the 7 dhatus, bodily constituents, sub-doshas, the 5 koshas, the 5 bodies. All of those things are still going to be taught in this course. But I'm also bringing in the paradigms of dynamic medicine. So we have constitutional medicine and we have dynamic medicine. And the cards of truth is just a dynamic model, just what it is. So it just fits very nicely with these dynamic medical paradigms. And so, but I also wanted to bring in the Ayurveda again. So it's all actually connected here. And the cards, as I've said so many times, provide us with this framework that allows you to connect so many things. So to me, that's a really beautiful thing about this course, is that it's all coming together.
A lot of these principles of Oriental medicine, be it Chinese, Tibetan, Ayurveda, this Asian medicine overlap also. So it's not that they're contradictory. They all converge towards kind of the same ideas, the same organic approach to disease, from what I know. And also we're gonna look at disease from several levels: the physical level, the emotional level and the spiritual level. So that's also going to be something. And I think it's really valuable to invest in these classes, because if you don't have health, then what do you have? So especially now the equinox is here, we can just take a step back and also maybe observe our bodies, observe the change in our bodies. So I think these classes come in handy for that, because we're gonna also present strategies and solutions and practical solutions in how to approach the different problems that may arise. But because there's so much to teach, we decided to split it up in 3 series. So will be the first series of 12 modules. Then we're going to have level 2 and level 3. Can you describe what we are going to focus on level 1?
Yes, I think, the way that we're structuring these classes is basically the way that traditional medicine is taught. You always start with anatomy and physiology. What is the body and what's happening inside the body? That's the basic. Once you know that, you can go into understanding the other things. So this course is basically trying to understand, looking at the cards, what can that tell us about the body? Which level of the body? What is the body? What are the suits in terms of the body and the mind, and all of that? And then what's happening inside, the functions, the organs, the elements, the cycles. How do we understand the physiology and how the suits and the cards can show us something about what's happening internally? But the physiology is not just what's happening physically in the body. It also has emotional connotations. It also has psychological connotations. Like, take the liver, for example. The liver is associated with the wood element, and I would say the spade suit. And Oriental medicine tells us that the liver is associated with growth and expansion and a rising energy, upward moving energy. It's about growing and expanding, having hope, having vision, being able to plan for the future. And the primary emotion of the liver is anger. So you can see these paradigms contained within them many levels. And so one connection gives us a wealth of information.
It's more like spring.
Liver is like spring season, when everything is starting to grow up, everything is starting to green and rise under the sun. It's a lot of things. The liver is also the flexibility with which to grow, because a plant needs to be able to move, to adapt to the varying conditions if it's going to actually grow. So there's so much we can learn, start to unpack these simple things: spring season, liver, wood element, growth, expansion, spade suit. All these things start to come together in terms of anatomy and physiology. So we're not just talking about the physical, we're also looking at the emotional and the psychological levels with everything. So that's what makes it really interesting, because I think, for people who are already doing card readings, for example, this will just expand the scope of your ability to read for your clients and help them understand what's going on with their health or their psychological process. You can also help direct people to appropriate treatment approaches, to appropriate modalities. Say, you should go get acupuncture. That would be really appropriate treatment for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
How would you see all of those things? How can you see, is this person having a physical issue, or is it emotional, or is it mental? Like, where is it really seated? We should be able to see those things as card readers, whether or not we're trying to practice medicine. Like in Tibet, I said this before, I always say this, but this is a Tibetan saying that if you're an astrologer, you should know something of medicine. And if you are a doctor, you should know something of astrology.
Beautiful.
This course is for those astrologers who would like to fulfill the traditional calling and understand something of medicine, to expand their scope as astrologers. But it's also for, medical practitioners who want to understand astrology. You just have to have already done Ernst's Cards of Truth course. That's the prerequisite.
I'm glad you touched on that, because we address it mostly to people who are already have a foundation, and then they want to develop on it. They want to specialize. I know this is a more niche topic, but for us, it's something that it really makes us very enthusiastic. So we are very happy to teach it. And another practical technical thing, so we're going to have 12 classes in the first module. It's going to be 2 hours each. We're going to be teaching on Sundays. It's going to be 9 a.m. in Hawaii. I don't really know what that translates to mainland US, maybe 5 p.m.
Late morning, early afternoon.
Okay.
For mainland US.
Mm-hmm. And Also, the classes will be available after they take place. They will be available as recordings. And if people would like to join, but they can't because of some reason or another, they can just order the class as recordings and then send us their questions or their charts. It's also going to be quite interactive. So we're going to have a part of theory where we talk about the principles, and then we have practice and we look at charts, mainly at the charts of people involved, because that's the most fun thing to do, to see in your own chart, you know, how it develops. I'm really hoping that I see as many of you in the class, because we're going to start this Saturday. We actually chose it to be after the equinox because we wanted things to calm down a little bit after the excitement and the heat of the summer. And anything else we should add, Nishi?
It's a good time to nourish your roots. For people who are interested, the level 2, I said level 1, level 2 is going to be focusing more on etiology and pathology. So understanding like what is disease, what causes disease, and then what is the cycle of disease. So we'll understand those things in depth in level 2, and that'll help us make like, you know, good diagnoses and being able to understand how to read these things properly. It's very nuanced. Then level 3 is when we're really going to practice a lot of reading spreads and understanding what is the value and import of these different spreads, the birth spread, the year spread, the day spread, the progressed spread. How do we put this all together and read it? And then we're going to practice reading, because sometimes you know the theory, but when you try to practice it, you come up against all kinds of scenarios that are like, you have to get creative and intuitive and really understand, you know? So I really want to train people also to be able to practice this in a way that is artful and not just like computerized
Sterile.
techniques, you know, because medicine just doesn't work that way, and neither does card reading. But I do want to give these very clear foundation principles. And by the time you get to level 3, you will have understood so much and had time to absorb it in a slow and depthful fashion that it'll be really natural. We'll be here to guide you guys and reading the spread. So I think I see it really as a long-term picture. There's a lot of fruit at the end of this for people who really want to invest their time and energy in it. And it's a joy for us to offer it. So it is, of course, you have to do level 1 to do level 2, and you have to have done level 2 to do level 3, and you have to do the Ernst Cards of Truth classes to even start, because that's the system that we're working within. So I hope people will really go deep in the cards, because even for people who are not interested in medical astrology, I just think that understanding how these things relate to us at the most concrete level only helps us understand what the cards are, understand what the suits are, understand what astrology is about.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's about it from us. You can find the information on how to register on my website. Check out the link below. You can also find it on Nishee's website, atmaastrology.com. And yeah, we'll see you soon, hopefully. Check you later. Bye, Neeshee.
Bye, Carmina.